Hey, it's Cornelis. Welcome to Your Band is a Business. Today I thought I would insert myself into the online beef between Jesse Cannon and Nic D and see what we as independent musicians can learn from their differing opinions on how to promote yourself as a musician and how to grow your audience. Now, in case you don't know who these two people are and why you should care, I will give you a quick rundown of the situation. Basically, Jesse Cannon, you could characterize him as a music industry insider. He came up through the DIY scene, I think. But anyway, he works both on the production side as well as the marketing and PR side with um, with signed bands, signed artists in the quote unquote real music industry. And he runs a great YouTube channel called Muse Formation, where he gives a lot of advice about how to grow your audience as an artist, as a band. And on the other hand, we have Nic D, who is an independent rapper who has millions of streams, and he's living his best life on his farm, as all rappers do, right? Um, Anyway, so Jesse Cannon made a video in which he was somewhat critical of the advice that Nic gives, and he did it in a humorous way. I thought it was funny, at least, where he didn't directly name Nic D, but everybody who spends time in this niche on YouTube knows who he's talking about. But the main point that I took away from it is what the word that Jesse kept saying, which is the word context, and about how we should take into account the context that somebody is coming from when they give out information, and how we should not just uncritically take advice, but think about the context that it's coming from and how it applies to our own situation. Now, Nic D made a reply video. He was he didn't seem too happy with the humor. I get it. Maybe I would respond differently if I was being made fun of, but I didn't feel like Jesse was punching down in any way because Nic D is obviously really successful. So I don't know, but Nic D stuck to his guns. He said, "Look, this is how I blew up. This is how I became successful, and I've seen other people use my advice to become successful as well. So listen to me if you want to have the success that I have." And he said, "Look, it might not be for everybody, which is fair." But I don't want to come on here and say, well, okay, they have two different opinions and that's it. I want to think about how what they are saying can apply to me. What can I learn from each of these guys? And maybe it will be of interest to you as well. Now, as I said, uh, Jesse mentioned used the word context a lot, and basically he was alluding to the fact, okay, Nic D will, for example, say you need to release as much music as you can, quality music. And when he first started out, he said he was releasing a song every week. And there are reasons for that. He believes in having throwing as many darts at the dartboard as possible, because you can't predict what will work and what won't work. So you throw lots of darts at the dartboard and see what sticks, which one hits the bullseye. Um, he believes in having a big catalog so that when something pops off, that people have lots of music to listen to, or if anybody becomes a fan, then they have a lot of music to listen to. There's the argument that quantity is its own quality, which you can look at from different perspectives. On the one hand, the more that you do something, the quicker your skills will develop, and on the other hand, just having a large volume, a large body of work is valuable in itself. I don't know if I agree with that, but you could say, okay, that's broadly his approach to releasing music. And because he releases so much music, he has the opportunity to create lots of content, visual content, short form video content, which increases the chances that people discover his music. Now, the thing is that there's some genre conventions and assumptions that occur in the genre of hip hop and rap, which don't necessarily translate to other genres. And this is one of these context pieces that Jesse is alluding to. If you are a band, rock, metal, indie, punk, or something like that, it's going to take a lot longer for you to write music, to rehearse the music, and then record it compared to Nic D. And Nic D himself said, when I first started out, I would just buy a beat for $30 and I would wrap it in the back of my van with a microphone out in the cold outside, which is admirable and that's great. But when you look at his music that he's released, all the songs are 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So it's a beat. There's a hook, and then a verse, and then a hook, and that's the song, and that's great. But yeah, that's definitely the kind of thing that you can do with a microphone and a laptop in a van. But if you're a band, then you can't do that, right? Yes, there are DIY ways of recording your music, but if you want to, and some genres benefit from a lo-fi feel and quality, but a lot of bands require a good recording environment, and in order to record the drums and the guitars and all that kind of stuff. And there are ways around that, plugins and stuff like that. But yeah, you really benefit from a certain recording environment. So two different genres, there are completely different expectations in terms of the music. Also, yeah, this idea of having most songs or all the songs being 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes long, that's great for the genre and it's great for the algorithm because people are less likely to drop out halfway through. They're more likely to listen to the song repeatedly. It's all great for the algorithm. But if you're an artist in rock or metal, then it would be difficult to get away with that kind of music. Maybe you could. Maybe that could be a new genre of music, very short songs. I don't know, but yeah. Look, I'm not saying that you should slavishly follow the conventions of your genre because those are arbitrary conventions that just happen to be there that people follow. They're not rules, right? It's just kind of conventions that people follow. They have changed in the past and they will change in the future, but just be aware. You are most likely already aware of those conventions, and that means that you can't necessarily put out to like a song every week or a song every 2 weeks. And now as an aside, just I want to say, so the conventions that a lot of artists and bands operate under these days, you can argue, I hate to say it, that it started with the Beatles. Before the Beatles, there was less of an expectation that an artist wrote their own songs. I'm thinking of people like Frank Sinatra and Elvis. They did not write their own songs, and people didn't bat an eyelid. They thought, well, I don't care, they're great singers. You did in the early rock and roll days, Chuck Berry and people like that, Little Richard wrote their own songs, but they recorded covers as well, and it wasn't there wasn't as great an importance placed on it. When the Beatles came, well, the early days of rock and roll, I'm talking about Little Richard and Chuck Berry and stuff like that. And then bands like the Beatles, they realized, hey, if we write the songs, we keep the money, right? And they really loved writing songs. They loved recording songs. They loved being in the studio. And then after them, just all the bands, all the artists in those genres, and it started with rock and then splintered into metal and punk and indie and all that kind of stuff. All of those artists have the expectation from themselves and from the audience that they write their own material and record their own material and perform it themselves. Now, I happen to know, or I've been told, I don't have an insider knowledge of the industry, but I've been told by insiders that sometimes bands would actually bring in session musicians to record their parts because they couldn't do it themselves. That's a whole nother topic. But anyway, the expectation is that people are doing it themselves. So yeah, if you are in that genre and not in hip hop and rap, it's going to be a lot harder for you to put out music so regularly. Now, this is where I resonate or align more with Jesse Cannon's advice, where he says, okay, release a song every 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, so that you've got time. Well, you first of all, because there's no way you can create that much quality music to put out every week or every 2 weeks. Second of all, you have more time to promote it. You can create lots of content to get it up and running and give the algorithms time to figure out what to do with your music, and give people a chance to hear your song a couple of times, because it's the case often that people don't really get your song until they've heard it 5, 6, 7 times. And that goes for any kind of marketing or advertising of any kind of product. The same goes for music. They'll hear it the first time, yeah, okay, it's okay. Second time, third time, and by the fourth or fifth time, they're like, okay, actually, I like this. It's sticking in my head now, and that's the way it is. So, from Jesse's point of view, you can be doing yourself. You can be standing in your own way if you're releasing music so frequently that people don't have time to actually get it, to understand it, and you can create the impression that you're just throwing out any old music and you don't really care about the quality, and people will kind of almost switch off. Now, Nic D has the real world results to refute that, but I do think that the expectations of hip hop and rap are just different compared to other genres. Whereas hip hop and rap, there's more of an idea that the music is more immediate and of the moment, and it's almost like a news broadcast of what is going on in the artist's life. I'm thinking, just think about the battle between Drake and Kendrick Lamar that's been happening over the past couple of weeks or months, and that music, obviously they're going back and forth with each other, and that could only be done because the music, the beats, they already have a whole library of beats that they can pull from, or they have a whole bunch of producers that are ready to give them beats, and then they can write lyrics to that. That could not really happen in other genres. If it did, it would take weeks and months between, imagine a metal band, and they write a song, it takes them weeks and months to rehearse and write and record, and then the other way around, it wouldn't be the same. So anyway, when it comes to myself as an artist, I'm firmly more in the genre of rock, indie rock, punk, new wave, and with that kind of music, it just takes time to write the songs. Sometimes I can come up with lyrics in a day. Sometimes it takes months. Sometimes a piece of music, it all comes together in a short time. Sometimes it takes months for me to come up with new sections. Sometimes it takes me a long time to be able to play the parts correctly so that I can record them. I'm thinking of, it could be the main riff of the song, or it could be the guitar solo. It just takes time. So I cannot realistically put out music that I feel happy and proud of every week, every 2 weeks. It takes me a long time to write music. So what I'm aiming for is 5 songs in a year, and if I can reach that, then I'm pretty pleased with myself, and that then gives me time to create the content around it, to promote it, to create the world around my music. And I've spoken about this in previous videos, where I think, yeah, we shouldn't be naive about how it's not just about the music. So I think it's important to consider the entire world around your music, and that's the artwork, and that's the videos, and it's the vlogging perhaps, or ways that you create a community around your music. I think all of those things are important, and I think by having a slower release schedule, you have more time to do that. Now, yeah, Nic D, obviously, the proof is in the pudding. He's got the results. Some of his friends follow a similar method, and they also are getting really good results. But from what I can see, they are either rappers or they are solo artists, because I think one of the people that follows his advice is, maybe you could describe as an indie pop artist. But from what I can see, he's solo, so he can write songs on his own, and then he can maybe get some session musicians to record stuff, or he just does it all himself. I'm not aware, but it seems to be music that can be created more quickly, and it just doesn't apply to me, or maybe to you. So yeah, I agree with Jesse. Consider the context that the people who you are listening to are coming from, and the advice that they are giving. So before you just blindly follow that advice, because it just might not be applicable to you and what you're doing. So yeah, in conclusion, I would say, okay, yeah, they have different opinions, but they share, there's things that they share. They both agree about the importance of short form video content, and Nic D will say, okay, if you release lots of music, then you've got lots of opportunities to create short form video content for all the different songs. And then Jesse Cannon will say, okay, you can release less songs, but that doesn't mean you can't create lots of content for each individual song. So the short form video content still has its place, and that's something that I'm really focusing on this summer, because I believe I've got really great songs already recorded and more coming out. So I believe I've got really good songs, and when people listen to them, they seem to enjoy them. And now my focus over the coming months is to get good at creating the video content, the short form video content, in order to promote myself on social media. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's my favorite thing in the world. On TikTok, you might have seen me rant about how I don't really enjoy it, and it's kind of weird that musicians have to learn this whole separate skill tree. Our main skill tree is music, and now we have to learn a visual skill tree, whether that's graphics or videography. I've ranted about that, but it is what it is, and it is a great opportunity to spread our music around the world. So I just have to lean into it. So if you're interested in how I'm going about learning to do that, then follow me here or on TikTok, where I'm sharing my results as I go along, what I'm filming, how I'm editing it, what I'm putting out, what's working, what's not working. And yeah, follow along if you're interested to learn with me. And of course, I'm not pretending to be a guru. If you have any ideas on what's working for you, let me know in the comments, because I'm learning the same way that you are. Okay, anyway, that's it for now, and I'm interested to hear what your opinions are about the two different approaches to releasing music. How are you doing it, and what are your results? Who do you like to listen to, and who do you like to take advice from? Anyway, let me know, and I'll speak to you guys next time.